Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me. If you've not already watched our study skills video, I would recommend that you do that before this video, as a lot of the things that we're talking about can be quite useful in thinking about how we engage with supercurricular activities as well. But now onto supercurricular activities. So what are supercurricular activities? Supercurriculars are things that you do to extend and deepen your knowledge of the curriculum and things related to the curriculum. That can be your school curriculum or the uni curriculum, really anything that is linked to the subject that you would like to study. It also includes learning about new subjects as well. And I think particularly thinking about what is not covered in your A-level curriculum, but you would like to learn about can be quite a good place to start in thinking about supercurricular. So it is important because it can help you to understand your current studies better and to develop your current interests. It's all to do with kind of developing this critical thinking skill that I was talking about in the study skills session. And also in terms of kind of developing and finding new areas of interest. And again, that really helps with becoming an independent learner. You can help practice your independent thinking, which is really, really important when you get to university. And speaking of getting to university, supercurriculars are really important for your university application. This is because your personal statement, the key thing that it should do is demonstrate your passion for a subject. It's so much easier to demonstrate your passion if you're sat there saying, I love this subject and I've engaged with it in all of these different ways, rather than just saying sort of, I like the subject I've studied at school. It's also really helpful for interview practice. If you're learning to be more of an independent learner, then you're definitely going to be learning how to develop different opinions on the fly, and also learning how to kind of talk about your own interests and discuss your own interests. And that will be really, really helpful for interview practice. It also means that if you've written about something that you particularly enjoy in your personal statement and then you're sat in an interview, it's quite likely that an interviewer could sort of look down at your personal statement and think, fantastic, yeah, they're interested in this area, so I can ask them about it. And obviously that makes your job a lot easier. I would say now, supercurricular does not just have to be reading a pile of books. When I was applying to uni, supercurricular was always referred to as reading around the subject. But obviously we've coined this new phrase, and that's to kind of acknowledge the fact that there are so many different types of supercurricular exploration you can do. So obviously for some subjects that could be work experience, that counts as extending your knowledge of the curriculum. But also things like podcasts, documentaries, any kind of activity like a school club or a discussion group, they all count towards it. It's quite possible that you could already be doing supercurricular exploration without even knowing it, because something as simple as discussing things with your friends could count as a supercurricular activity. So I think it's quite important for you to think about, what activities do I already do? Do they count as supercurricular? And if so, make sure that you're kind of thinking about them and engaging with them academically. Here are just a few resources that you might find useful. I think a lot of the time, if you're interested in science or any kind of sciences or STEM subjects, it's quite difficult to know immediately where to start. But there are a lot of different magazines or journals which are very, very useful in finding things to read about. So Nature magazine, National Geographic, New Scientist, and the British Medical Journal are all really fantastic places to start, and they will have a really wide variety of articles on different subjects to do with what you might want to study, what you might be interested in. If you are hoping to study a new subject at university, the Very Short Introduction series is a very helpful set of books in kind of giving you the academic background that you might need or want to kind of confirm your interest in the subject. And then there are a lot of more generalized resources. So stuff like In Our Time, that is a Radio 4 show, which covers a variety of topics with lots of different academics as guest speakers. TED Talks obviously are really fantastic ways of engaging with a variety of different subjects. Stuff like BBC iPlayer, you will find a lot of documentaries on there, which will be really useful. And I've put up a picture from newspapers here. I will be talking about that much more later. How do you find supercurricular resources? My first tip is just to Google it. If there's something that you already know that you're interested in, just search for it, see if you can find any academic things linked to it. There are certain sites that are likely to have good resources that are just kind of quite general. So the MyHE Plus website, the Oxford website, and BBC Sounds are quite good places to start there. Talk to your teachers. Obviously, they are all specialists in the field that they teach in, and they will almost definitely have places that they recommend engaging with the subject from. If you don't know where to start, maybe watch a random TED talk and see where it takes you. This is really important to link back to what we were thinking about with learning styles in the study skills session. Find whichever resources suit you best. So books, podcasts, videos, lectures, documentaries. If you're more of a visual learner, if you're more of an auditory learner, think about that. And I would also say vary these things. It's obviously fine if you really love reading and you'd be happy with just reading absolutely everything, but actually it can be really interesting and fun to engage in different types of supercurricular. And also it will give your brain a little bit of a break if you're not engaging in the same parts of your brain all the time. And it's completely fine to kind of go with a more passive thing, like a documentary that's aimed more at a general public than academics. That's totally fine, that still counts. The other thing I've said is don't be scared. It's not as scary as it can seem to have sort of someone saying, right, you now must explore your subject. It should be fun. And if it's not fun, then you maybe need to think about whether that is the right thing for you to be researching or whether that's really the right subject for you. Where do you start? Yeah, find an enjoyable way of learning, as I said, and do remember it's not all about reading. Find a topic that you like. It will be much easier if you find something that you're genuinely passionate about and do some research in that particular area than it will for you to kind of read or engage with a bunch of different things from different areas of the subject. And also think around your subject. It's not always obvious, and especially if the A-level curriculum is quite different to the university curriculum. What might also be quite useful is to look at first year university reading lists and see what kind of topics come up and explore sort of some intro level stuff to some of that. The screenshot that I've popped up is from Oxplore website. It refers to itself as the home of big questions, and it can be really helpful for that independent thinking and developing your own thoughts about a subject, because it asks you to make a decision right at the start, and then we'll explore the question. I have mentioned critical thinking earlier, and just to give a definition of that, we would describe that as the objective analysis and evaluation of an issue in order to form a judgment. So really thinking about being objective there and evaluating each of your sources, and also forming a judgment is really important. It might help to think about it as actually being critical of what you're being presented with and challenging it. Do you agree with it? Is it useful to you? Here are a few questions that you might want to ask yourself. Firstly, make sure that you're actually understanding what you're engaging with. So asking yourself what the terms actually mean. Asking questions about whether you trust it, what is its purpose? I mentioned earlier documentaries that are aimed at the general public. Are they going to be as in-depth as something aimed at academics? Probably not, and the purpose is probably for entertainment. So it's worth just kind of being aware of that whilst you're engaging with it. Evaluating the source is really important, thinking about how useful it is, what have you learned, maybe thinking about whether you already knew some of the stuff that you were engaging with. So which kind of brings us on to extension, which is thinking about how you can take it further. What next? Is there a certain thing that's been sparked in your interest whilst engaging with this activity? Has it maybe left gaps in your knowledge that you would like to fill? Or maybe is it something that you thought, right, I already know all of this and I want to engage with it at a higher level? All of these things are really, really useful. I think especially if you are going to be talking about this activity within your personal statement, making sure that you're doing all of these things and engaging with it and coming up with your own opinions about it is really, really important to show that you are an independent learner who is going to continue to be a good independent learner at university.